We want to thank our amazing sponsor, the Rope Drop Queen herself, Michelle McKnight. She is a destination specialist with touring plans and can help you plan an amazing vacation. Whether it's Disney, Universal, a cruise, or an all-inclusive, she can help you with booking, planning, and strategizing to help you have an incredible experience at a great rate. Contact her today at michelle@touringplans.com. Now, on to the show.
Helping you navigate the Disney parks.
With the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
You're listening to Rope Drop Radio.
Welcome to another Rope Drop Radio. Derek and Doug talking all things Disney. And Doug, this is always one of our favorite show topics of the year because it's how we got to start the year right. In fact, this show is a continuation of the last year and the year before, which has been like our number one recorded show of all time. But it's how to rope drop in 2022.
That's like roll credits, right? The name of the show right there in it, rope dropping and how to do it this year.
It's different than last year. It's different than the year before. And by the way, all the people that keep downloading How to Rope Drop in 2020, thank you for your support. It's our number one show of all time. It's got thousands views or listens. Please stop.
I mean,
like it's really, shows. It's literally gets like 5 a day, and I'm like, did you not type it in correctly? What's going on?
Nothing the same except get up early and get to the park. That is always the same. 45 to 60 minutes before the park opens. That's how you rope drop. That's going to be for everything we talk about today, and that still existed in 2020 to now. The only similarity.
Only thing.
You're
so
covered.
There you go. I still think it's hilarious every time I see it. But thank you to everyone who's listening, and thank you to all of our Patreons for supporting the show, including Molly, who is now Ohana bread pudding level, Doug. The top of the line, the best of the best. Literally, if you've had Ohana bread pudding, it is the best.
We should clarify Ohana bread pudding prior to COVID, though. They've changed it up
a little bit. Yeah, you're right.
It's still the creme de la creme.
I mean, it's still the best. I mean, I'm still going to eat it. If it was here in front of me right now, you would hear me nom while doing a show.
The show would pause for a moment with chewing noises. So there you go.
Oh, no, I wouldn't pause the show. I would just record through it, chewing while eating. Well, so anyway, reviews, Doug, and thank you, Molly.
On to reviews. We have gotten some in the last few weeks. Thank you very much. They keep us going. This one is Disney Dads Unite, 5 stars by Bob and Surf. I think he's making a joke about bobbing in the surf.
In the surf? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Otherwise, it's Bob and Surf. I don't think that's a word, though. I love this podcast and the insight I get from 2 dudes that love Disney as much as I do. I work nights, so when I see a Rope Drop Radio episode drop, I know it's going to be a good night. I appreciate the trip reviews, and the people brought onto the show from a wide variety is a huge bonus. Thanks for all you do, and keep up the awesome and honest critiques of all things Disney.
Awesome.
That's a good one.
Bob. That was a great one.
I like that they point out the wide variety of guests. We're going to get some wide variety here in the month of January. Buckle up. We got some good guests coming on.
Yes, we do. Going to be a great month and some trip reports coming as well.
I mean, would you ever think we're going to talk about Ratatouille, the musical?
No. But Rogers, the musical, I would never thought about either until I watched Hawkeye. Spoilers. There you go.
And we'll talk about that next week, too.
Yes. So, sure. Okay. More things. So let's talk about this year. What's happening right now. Happy New Year to everybody who is tuning into this show. It is 2022. You're like, hey, let's go to Walt Disney World. Where do I begin? How do I start? Let's tune into Rope Drop Radio. And the most important thing you need to know is that it is important to rope drop. Doug, what is rope dropping?
Rope dropping is being there at the park open. In the past, they used to have literally a rope that they would drop. In my childhood, they actually did that.
I've seen the rope. It's real.
Rope. Now they put a rope up, but they take it down and walk you forward. But you got to get there early, like we already said, 45 to 60 minutes before the park opens. So that means leaving your hotel possibly 90 minutes before it opens. And not just before it opens, but we also have early entry. It's a half hour that you get in before if you stay on property. So today we're going to break it down several different ways, Derek. It might get monotonous at times, but it's important.
It is
because it's complicated.
It's a complicated system. It's not as easy as it was in 2020.
2020 was so simple. 2021 was the simplest. 'Cause
That's
there's
true. You're
no
right. No
pass,
fast
nothing.
passes. Just go right.
We're
You're
just
right.
just go. It made it very easy. Now we're the opposite of easy. So here we are. First, we're going to talk about you're staying on property with no Genie Plus. You're not paying any extra money. All right. Just going to the parks. All right. Number 2, staying on property with Genie Plus. So you're getting those lightning lane attractions. And number 3, on property with all the things. So if you can buy whatever you want to buy
Yep.
for
You
that
got
day,
money
we're
to
gonna talk
spend.
about it.
Burn. Yep.
All right. I don't want to say burn. Use, Derek.
Use. Great.
Strategically
You're right.
use.
You're right. Okay.
And then last but not least, we will talk about what you do if you're off property. And we'll say good luck.
5% of our listeners.
Yeah. All right. So
But we love you too, guys.
we do. We love you all. So that's why we're talking about it. So
Yep.
we will assume everybody's rope dropping because it's Rope Drop Radio. For those of you that like to sleep in, Joe Kaplan, we're going to do a reverse rope drop show sometime in February. So watch
Love
for
that
that.
show, yep.
Listen to this so you understand what reverse rope dropping is for you people that like to sleep in.
On vacation? What?
No, Disney is a trip, not a vacation.
Okay.
That's the differentiation. You're going on a trip when you go to Disney. A cruise is a vacation.
Ooh, I like it. So, all right, Doug, we're going to go to all 4 Walt Disney World parks. Let's start at Animal Kingdom. Rope dropping, on property, and no Genie Plus. What do you do?
Well, this one is very simple and straightforward. You get there early, like we said. I'm going to quit saying that. Okay, so just assume we always say you're there super early. You're up by the rope. You're going straight to Flight of Passage.
Absolutely.
You're not pass go. Straight to Flight of Passage.
Everest is going to be down a lot of the year this year.
Beginning of the year, yeah.
Yeah.
But if Everest is up after you get off Flight of Passage, you go all the way across the park to Everest. Then you zigzag back to the safari. After that, really, it's dinosaur, triceratops spin, and some shows, right? That's kind of your order you go in. Any caveats, Derek, that you can think of?
No, I think if you have little kids, you could hit up Safari before Everest, depending on
I'd
the
rider
age.
swap it.
That's true.
Rider swap. Go
Okay.
get your rider swap at Flight of Passage.
Well,
You use
yes,
those little
absolutely.
kids.
Yeah, use the little kids. I agree. No, Flight of Passage first, all the way, and then Safari before Everest, depending on what you're... And maybe Navi, if they've never done it.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, the little kids could go on Navi while everybody else goes on
Done
Flight of
that
Passage.
multiple times, yes.
That's a totally legitimate thing to do. Be aware of what time the safari opens. Some days it's later than others.
Those animals need their coffee in the morning too, Doug.
Right? So, they got to clock in, clock out. So that's the one caveat there is you might get in line for the safari before it's even open, but if you've already done Flight of Passage, you've already done Everest, that's fine.
Yep.
Stand in line for the safari if it's not open. If it opens in like 15, 20 minutes, not a waste of your time because dinosaurs waits are going to be manageable most of the day. And Triceratops spin is Triceratops spin. And Cali River Rapids, like, unless it's 100 degrees, the line's nothing to
20
really
minutes
talk
tops.
about.
Yep.
Tough to be a bug, and you got to work in the shows. There you go.
You nailed
Whole
it. So
part.
that's no Genie. What about if you have Genie Plus, Doug?
So if you have Genie Plus, right at 7 a.m. So you buy Genie Plus, say around 6:30 or midnight. It has to be that day, unless you put it on your package. Then you're all good to go. That's the easy way to do it. Is just put it on your package. You have it every day. You don't have to stress about it. So I would recommend right at 7. You're trying to grab yourself a safari lightning lane. That way you don't have to worry about when it opens, getting in line, hustling back. You can go Flight of Passage, Everest, Dinosaur, Triceratops. And then
Lightning
Churro.
Lane for Safari.
Yes.
I like it.
And once that Lightning Lane, we won't get into the rules about Lightning Lane, but once that opens, you could grab one for Lion King, something like that. Could be helpful. I don't know if it will be a Lightning Lane for Nemo when that comes back. I haven't seen that for sure. You'd also grab a Dinosaur Lightning Lane too, if you want to do that again. But or Navi River Journey, potentially. There's lots of options, but the Safari would be my at 7 a.m.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely. So you got money that you want to spend. You don't want to wait in line. What do you do when you're on property with all the things?
Well, Animal Kingdom's kind of an odd one. We have really only used Animal Kingdom ones where we've bought things to hop to it, and we've done Flight of Passage. But if you want to buy the things, buy Flight of Passage.
Yep.
You do not have to stress about that rope drop crowd. You can rope drop Everest.
And it's still a crowd. I mean, it's been, what,
it's
4 years now? It's still 5 years. It's still a crowd.
Rope drop.
I had someone asked that the other day, and they're like, oh, is it down now? I was like, because it's been out for a while? No, it's still insane.
Only thing, and people are like, oh, the line won't be as bad once Star Wars opens. It's like, Star Wars in a different park. I don't think you understand how that affects things.
Star Wars and Animal Kingdom would have made me laugh.
That, I mean, it's about like Guardians of the Galaxy.
You know what? I've seen Mandalorian Boba Fett. They got some animals.
Why not?
Oh, man, that's a whole different... That's a Patreon show sometime.
Right? So you can buy Flight of Passage because then you don't have to stress about the chaos. You can rope drop Everest. You can rope drop Dino. I mean, leisure.
Yeah.
Leisurely walk. Away from the mob. I would still get there super early. You don't have to get there an hour before. You just maybe 20 minutes, right? You're still rope dropping. You rope drop Everest, do Dinosaur, hit Safari when it opens. Actually, you grab a lightning lane for Safari, right?
Yep.
And if you really feel like spending all the money, you could even buy a lightning lane for Everest.
You get everything done.
And you be done, and you don't
without waiting in any lines, really.
Because rope dropping Flight of Passage is stressful. Every rope drop really is stressful, right, Derek?
Absolutely.
It is chaotic. It is hot.
But usually. I love every minute of it.
And 90% of the time, I'm wondering, why am I here doing this?
For the podcast.
Yeah, that's usually the answer in my head. But then you get done with that first hour of the day, the first 2 hours of the day, and you're like, we did everything, and these suckers coming into the park right now, it's going to take them 5 hours to do everything we just did in an hour and a half.
That's why the show's Rope Drop Radio.
So buying all the things makes it the least stressful thing ever.
And we won't go over prices because those could change in 2022.
Well, they change by day, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So Doug, off property, I don't know, you're local or you're staying at an Airbnb, you're like, I'm going to go to Animal Kingdom. What do you do?
Well, you're a half hour behind, right? So you need to be on the front of that rope. I think you have two options here, Derek. One is you go straight to Safari or Everest.
That's what I was thinking. Yep.
Just kind of, you pick which one you want to do and you avoid Flight of Passage.
Mm-hmm.
And the other option is you just go get in line and stand for Flight of Passage. I would say hold off on Flight of Passage till the evening.
It actually, in the evening it does dip down quite a bit. So if you're making Animal Kingdom a hop or the second part of your day after a good, stay, eat at Tiffin's, walk over there. Dinner at Tiffin's, walk over to Flight of Passage.
You definitely have to do it evening, I think, is the best way. So you try to mitigate how much line you're going to stand in at the Safari, because that one could get pretty lengthy right now.
Yep.
Because it's the regular lightning lane, and people aren't buying it. Everest, not that many people are buying that lightning lane. So, and there's also single rider at Everest. If you're off property, you better be ready to utilize some single rider because you're starting every day a half hour behind. And that doesn't sound like a lot.
It's a lot.
It's more than a half hour because the line at Flight of Passage is over an hour when you get in it, rather than it being walk right on if you're first. So that's what I would do. I think Animal Kingdom is probably the most friendly off-property park.
I agree.
Period. Because you can get in line for Flight of Passage in the evening. Our next park we talk about.
Oh, yeah, let's move on.
Not as friendly.
Hollywood Studios.
Ooh. Is this the rest of the show, Derek?
It could be, but no, we have other parks to get to. So let's try to not really grind into these. Let's kind of go over them. So Hollywood Studios, you're staying on property, but no Genie Plus. What do you do?
There's two schools of thought here, and I'm on opposite school of thought from my wife. We discussed this before.
I'm actually, okay, I wonder if I'm opposite
I'm not sure which one you're on. You've had luck with...
I've had luck. I had great luck.
So
And I will stick with the luck.
Okay, so we're on opposite. I don't believe I have any luck. So I do not want to rope drop Rise of the Resistance because I don't want to risk going there and having it be down for an hour, a half hour, even 15 minutes. This just messes up your whole day. The one day we were at or Hollywood Studios, it was down for 2 hours. I know the people that went there. There was a line that whole 2 hours. People just waited. That was their rope drop.
Yep.
Meanwhile, you could rope drop, Slinky, and then hit Toy Story, get to Rockin' and Tower in that hour, right? You're there a half hour early. You're knocking out 2 to 3 in that first half hour. And then at some point during your day, you just have to be like, okay, this is when we're standing in line for 2 hours, kids. Everybody go to the bathroom. You got your snacks. Your battery is charged. All right, let's get in line. That's the way I see it. And the reason we can't do what we talked about with Animal Kingdom is sometimes they just shut down standby. You can't get in standby anymore at the end of the day. So you don't know when it's going to close. You can't jump in 5 minutes before the park closes. Someday maybe we will. Maybe by the end of 2022 they'll have this figured out.
No.
I like your optimism.
Not on this attraction.
So I'm just afraid the day I rope drop it is going to be like, oh, Kylo Ren hasn't found his magic feather yet. He's not ready to run.
Could he use the Force or anything else in there? But no.
Sorry, it was one day we did the Dumbo or Die touring plan when our kids were little, and we got to Dumbo, and they're like, Timothy Mouse hasn't found the magic feather yet. And they weren't running. So it was either stand there and stare at Dumbo with toddlers or go do Peter Pan or Winnie the Pooh. Oh, it was the worst start to a day ever at a Disney park.
I think we've all had those. I'm going Rise. It's gotten to a point where that attraction is the one where a lot of people are going to Hollywood Studios to do. In fact, some of my friends were just there, listeners of the show. They didn't get to it, and just they wish they would have tried rope dropping because the line just got ridiculous. Yes, they were there the week of Christmas and New Year's, but I am going to take the risk to rope drop Rise. Yes, it's I don't know. I was looking at touring plans the other day, and I know they talked about this. It is a gamble. You're right. It does break down. It does not start as early, but it is a lot better to do when it does than it is to wait in line a long time. And with my kids being the younger side, I would rather be able to have them at rope drop when they're still fresh. This is the attraction they want to do more than any other attraction. I would love to get out of the way then than trying to go back and 2 hour wait it in the afternoon.
Fair enough. I think they're both acceptable options.
If my kids were like, yeah, we can skip Rise, I am beeline ticketing it to Slinky Dog, and that's where I will rope drop.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's all on my children. Do you want to do Rise? If so, morning or not at all, almost.
One other thing for on property, if you don't do Rise, I will say one option is to do Slinky right away and then get in line for Mickey and Minnie's so that you beat the regular park opening to Mickey and Minnie's. Although in the evening, Mickey and Minnie's has very minimal wait.
Oh, it was great. We did that even on a busy day in the evening.
Last 2 hours or so.
That's the best time to go on that attraction.
Right now, Hollywood Studios really emptying out. Now, if you're listening to this in the future, if Fantasmic is back, that's not going to be true. It's going to keep people in the park. Although the people staying in the park will be going to Fantasmic. So once the crowd moves to Fantasmic, you have options to get in there. I don't know if we ever see fireworks back in the Hollywood Studios. I don't know that they care.
Say something. Knock on something. Do something. Someone disagree with Doug right now on Twitter.
They don't seem inspired to even get Fantasmic going. It blows my mind.
Anyway, we're going to move on to On Property with Genie Plus because I feel like you and I could take a rabbit lane now.
Oh my gosh. The Hollywood Studios is magical, Derek.
A magical mess, but okay.
So 7 a.m. rolls around. You have Genie Plus. You're booking your Lightning Lane. What Lightning Lane are you booking?
Slinky Dog. No, wait, that costs money.
No,
Slinky Dog doesn't. You're right. That's what I took. I took Slinky Dog because it's Mickey's and Rise. Yes.
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Wasn't ready for this lightning question, but okay. Yes, I took Slinky Dog.
So Slinky Dog is definitely the hot ticket. You get it right away. It
sells out fast, by the way.
Yes. If you don't get a Slinky Dog at 7 a.m., you're not going to get one. By the time your next window opens, they're going to be gone. So then if you have Genie Plus, you get that Slinky Dog. It could be late, it could be early. It's hard to say. They just kind of give you a time, and it feels random. But then as soon as you can make your next one, you're shooting for like Star Tours or Tower or Rockin' if they're still available.
Star Tours has been a lot in the afternoon.
Yes, Star Tours I'd say is the most likely to be available. But if you can snag a Rockin' or a Tower, and that's what you want to do, go for it. So then your rope drop strategy is no longer to go to Slinky Dog, right? So you either do Rise of the Resistance with a little less stress of missing Slinky Dog, or you can rope drop Sunset Boulevard with Rockin' and Tower, and then get in line for Mickey and Minnie's. You could rope drop Mickey and Minnie's, but it's not that horrible.
If you want to see the trumpet squid.
Yeah, I mean, there's options. So you kind of have 3 different options there with you go Rise, Mickey and Minnie's, or down Sunset. That's kind of the 3 ways to go, depending on what you want to do. Yep. No one thing is the definitive answer. Would you agree with that?
It depends on kids, ages, things you want to do. Absolutely. But the one thing you got to know is Slinky Dog goes quickly.
Yes, right at 7.
Do not hesitate. That's the big thing. If Genie Plus, do not hesitate. Do not talk to your spouse.
Don't
have a plan. You just click and go. Yes.
Accept. Go, go, go. Yeah, you should agree on stuff before you even get in an airplane.
Ooh, I like that. Usually we talk in the hotel room the night before, but you're going even before.
Before you even leave.
Okay.
Sit down. These are the strategies. We're going to buy this. We're not going to buy this. Boom.
The next one I think is the most interesting one, especially with Hollywood Studios. You're staying on property. You got money you want to spend, which this is the park where it's worth spending.
You get your money's worth here, folks. No doubt about it.
Prices are subjective to change.
Yes. So all the things. First, let's talk about how to use Genie Plus just a little bit. So at 7 a.m., you have to do multiple things that go quick. Here's what you do. You have the one account, and you have other people log into the same account. So you and your spouse can both be logged in to the same thing. So 2 phones going. All right. Ideally, 2 different people doing. One person is assigned to buy Rise of the Resistance right at 7. And you have a time in your mind that you've already discussed that you want Rise of the Resistance, like say 11 or say 1, something like that. Already discussed it. So they can get in there, look it, book it, go. Look for it, book it, and go. Okay. And then the other person's job is to get Slinky Dog.
Yep.
And if you really want to buy things, you can buy Mickey and Minnie's.
Why not? You don't want to wait in line. Yeah, if you have all, if you're willing to spend it.
After the other 2 things are done and secure, because Mickey and Minnie's is not going anywhere. You have some time to do that. But not having to worry about rope dropping Rise is the most freeing thing ever. The stress just melts away. And then if you snag that Slinky Dog, then you're like, well, Rockin'
Tower, Millennium Falcon, you're great.
Millennium Falcon's a great thing to rope drop on this. We hadn't mentioned that yet, but like it's a good rope drop. But Slinky Dog's so important in those other scenarios, right? So Millennium Falcon's are really going. If you're a Star Wars fan, that trumps Sunset. But you can also do Millennium Falcon very easily in the evening. So yeah, buying Rise of the Resistance is the most bang for your buck of any of the individual lightning lanes by far.
Yeah. Let's talk off property, Doug.
That's my recommendation. Also, you don't have to have Genie Plus to buy the individual lightning lanes. So if you don't have Genie Plus, you can still buy Rise.
At 7 a.m.
I highly recommend that. If you're
it sells out.
7 a.m.
I think people need to know that.
You can't wait. It's like boarding groups. 7 a.m.
You buy what you get. Yep.
You buy it, you get it, you're done. You can't hesitate. Off property. I don't even know what to tell you to do. Probably Millennium Falcon.
I actually just had some other friends stay down there. Like they live in Florida, and they said Hollywood Studios was their least favorite park, and they wish they stayed on property because they're just like, we didn't do any of the Star Wars stuff. They got their way. What's funny about them is and some of them might be listening. It's like you get to Hollywood Studios an hour or 2 into the day, staying off property, thinking I can do all the things. Things will book up, lines will form.
Yeah, that's the thing. By the second or third thing you do, there's a line at Hollywood Studios, and so if you're a half hour behind the on property people, right? If you're truly rope dropping off property, I think you could still get a decent weight at Rockin' and Tower and decent at Millennium Falcon. Mickey and Minnie's, unless you're at the front end of that, is going to be way longer than you want to do that early. And Slinkies is just stupid at that point. I
If you're
don't know
staying
that
off property,
Rise.
you're getting either Rise or Slinky because I don't think you have the. I don't have the patience to stay in both those lines. If I stayed off property, no way.
I don't know if Rise would be shorter right then or later in the day. You just buckle down and do it. Now you're staying off property. You can still buy Genie Plus. You can still buy individual lightning lanes. So what we said for that applies. It's just what you do right at rope drop. You can buy your way into things if you're off property, but then you might as well have stayed on property, had that extra half hour, and really managed it. But I would say Millennium Falcon is going to be the easiest thing to get onto, to get off and then do something else. Possibly Toy Story Mania, right at rope drop would be
Alien swirling saucers, Doug. Come on now, give some love. We haven't said that one at all.
We haven't for a reason.
We waited a long time for that the last trip we were there. Anyway, let's move on because we could talk Hollywood Studios for another 30 minutes.
It's tough. No matter what you do, you're right. No matter what you do, you're wrong at Hollywood Studios.
There you go. Here's another park that's becoming more challenging with the new system, Epcot.
Hey, Rope Droppers. Since we recorded, there was a little update. There's no more boarding groups for Ratatouille. That's exciting news because that's one less thing you have to do at 7 a.m. when you're going to Epcot. So, whenever we talk about boarding groups for Ratatouille, just ignore it. It really doesn't change much other than at 7 a.m. and having to wait for your group to be called. Now you can go ride Remy's Ratatouille Adventure at any time you like.
On property, no Genie Plus, Doug.
Okay, I'll wait to...
Yeah.
Well, you need individual lightning lanes are Frozen and
Test Track.
Ratatouille.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Ratatouille.
Ratatouille also has boarding groups.
Yes.
Do not mistake your boarding group for a fast pass or a lightning lane. It is your time to get in line, and that line could be 45 to 60 minutes pretty easily.
Yep.
So, staying on property, no Genie Plus, 7 a.m., you make your boarding group for Ratatouille. Otherwise, you're not going on Ratatouille. Boarding groups are not impossible to get. They're not like Rise. They're not hard, but you still need to do it at 7. Yep. Don't tempt the fates and do it later, because you don't want to be the guy that doesn't get it. Rope drop? I would say Test Track.
I honestly, it depends on where you're coming in. If you're coming in the front of the park or if you're coming in International Gateway. If you're International Gateway, I'm probably going to rope drop Soarin' or make my way all the way around.
All the way to Frozen.
Or Frozen, depending on what you are. But if you're in the front of the park, so many people beeline right to Test Track that...
Yeah, it's insane.
I was talking to our friend Matt from there, who works there, and he was just saying, yeah, if you're... The only way to do Test Track efficiently is by going through the front of the park.
Front. Yep. It is. Because when we were in line...
Especially with all the construction, it's weird.
At Thanksgiving, the International Gateway people showed up and looked shocked.
Yep.
With the line. But yeah, rope dropping Frozen, not a bad idea from either entrance. Soarin' is going to be the least stressful rope drop out of them.
I've been doing that a lot lately, by the way, Doug.
You don't like the stress, do you, Derek?
I really don't. Well, and also I have a stroller and getting kids. It's just...
Test Track is... The thing about not rope dropping Test Track, right, is it rains in Florida, and if it rains, Test Track goes down.
Which happened to us last time we were there.
If it's open and it's working, you're kind of tempting the fates and not doing it at rope drop.
Yep.
Because Soarin's going to have a shorter wait throughout the day than Test Track, for sure. Frozen is going to fluctuate. But Frozen's not going to go down because of a thunderstorm.
No.
So there's the...
And Anna and Elsa are kind of back meeting and greeting, so that might diverge a little bit of it.
Maybe. Yeah. So, there's some options there. And basically, after you get off Test Track, if you do that first, then you head to Soarin'. Yep. If you get off Frozen, you head to Soarin'. Soarin's always number 2 unless you make it number 1.
I agree.
you go to your boarding group. Here's the thing about the boarding groups. As of today, January, whatever it is, 2022, your boarding group is called. You can enter the Ratatouille line anytime after that. You don't have to go.
That was
in
the
that
best
certain
tip
window.
you ever gave me. It saved our whole trip.
Don't stress out about getting back there. If you have an early one, like say you're group 1, you don't need to go rope drop it. Now you can. You won't have to wait in line back there. But boy, could have saved a lot of time at Test Track or Frozen or Soarin'. So Ratatouille is going to have a line. No matter when you do it, bank on an hour. You'll be good there.
Okay,
right.
So on property with Genie Plus.
Well, this one is simple, Derek.
Oh, okay.
You try to book your Test Track.
Yep, I agree.
Lightning Lane. I'm shocked.
And hope it's not raining in there.
Right. And if it does rain, you can either go back when it opens up again, or you can use that fast pass on any other regular Lightning Lane in the park. So you could use it on Soarin' or Spaceship Earth or Nemo or yeah, I can't even say Figment. It's just yeah. So you're freed up to rope drop Frozen. If you don't want to buy Frozen, you're freed up to rope drop Soarin'. And then after you get that, that next window pops up and you can buy or book something else, do it. We saved some time actually with Spaceship Earth Lightning Lane.
Oh, sure you did.
We made
20
fun
minutes
of
even.
it. Yeah, we made fun of it when we booked it, but it actually saved us some time. Nemo will very rarely save you time. Same thing with Figment. But if you're going at spring break, President's Weekend, Mardi Gras, those will help you. Don't shy away from using the lightning lanes. Because when you're in the park and you're watching the lightning lanes go past, you'll wish it was you. But
every time.
Yeah. Test Track 100% and then rope drop Soarin' or Frozen. No doubt about that, right?
Yep, I agree. So what if you're on property and you have all the money to spend?
Well, then it gets pretty easy. Buying Ratatouille, you don't have to worry about making a boarding group, right? You don't have to worry about that. And it's a real line.
They really love those lightning lane people at Ratatouille.
If
you're lightning lane, they are getting you through.
So on our last trip in December, when our lightning lane was actually lightning-like, I would say ka-chow when I got up to the front to annoy my children. But if it was slow, I would say ka-chiga.
I get that reference. Also, we did not talk about that attraction at Hollywood Studios for obvious reasons. So, but at Epcot, what else are you doing? You have the money to spend.
If you have the family that wants to go to Frozen, buy it.
Yeah, I agree.
No-brainer. Now, am I going to buy it for my family? No, it doesn't make a bit of sense. My kids, Michelle and I are probably the ones that want to go on it more than our children. But
if you have little kids, that is a must. It's financially, it's there. It saves you an hour. Yeah. It saves you the time in line on that attraction. That attraction drives me nuts, especially when Olivia was younger, because it's just like they want to get on.
So, with spending the money at Epcot, you can walk into the park with Test Track, Frozen, Ratatouille in hand with minimal waits. Yep. We're talking under 10 minutes at all with the lightning lanes probably, or less. Yep. Test Track is where your 10 minutes might come in.
Because you got to make the car.
Think of how much more relaxing of
Soarin'
day.
Still 3 theaters. You're going to be able to get that
Soarin',
in. Yep.
You rope drop Soarin', then you just Spaceship Earth,
eat and drink around the world.
You
2 laps.
Are just on easy street the whole day. You can get everything else kind of accomplished that first hour and a half, then start cashing in the old lightning lanes, and it just sounds so much more enjoyable.
Oh, it does.
Than having to be elbow to elbow with people going to Test Track or standing in line for Ratatouille, because the queue is nothing you need to see.
No.
It's
actually annoying how little it is.
Mostly hallways that are themed as hallways. Literally, they're themed as hallways.
That's Imagineering right there.
Yeah. There's one room where you see the rooftop of Gastos, and it's cool, and people stop and take pictures, and there's actually a cast member there telling you to keep moving. And it's like, keep moving to stand in the hallway in another second. It does not matter how fast I get through here. I'm going to stand over there. But that is the only neat thing. You don't see it necessarily with the lightning lane, but I would rather miss the 60-minute wait.
I agree. So, all right, off property. Doug, what are you doing?
Well, it's pretty similar, except I would not touch Test Track with a 10-foot pole.
No.
I would think single rider line for Test Track. If this is assuming you didn't do any Genie. Anything we said with Genie, you would apply to off property, right? But I would avoid Test Track. I'd probably go Soarin' because it has the biggest capacity. And then depends on what you want to do. I would head to where
you're off property. You're just going to go eat and drink around the world. 2 laps. Check out some of the shows. There you go. 3 Caballeros.
You'd make your boarding group for Ratatouille right at 7. So if you're off property, you can't buy individual lightning lanes at 7. The on property they beat you to it. So you're getting the leftover times. So like at Hollywood Studios, if you're off property, you can't buy Rise of the Resistance. Here, you can at least buy Frozen if you want to do that, if you're off property for individual lightning lane. But yeah, Soarin', I think, is your best bet for off property rope drop half hour after everybody else. Test Track would be the absolute worst time of day to get in that line. No. A half hour after opening, because so many people drop it.
I would avoid that like plague.
If you're rope dropping Test Track, you need to be at the front of the crowd, not the middle, not the back, the front, and have sharp elbows. Yep. It's hot, it's sunny, it's miserable.
Good luck.
Yeah. That's why the lightning lane is really nice, because you don't have to do that.
That's true. So there you go. Epcot in a nutshell. Let's move on to the big dog. Magic Kingdom. We're there. It's a beautiful day. Everything is open and running. You're staying on property. No Genie Plus, Doug. What are you doing?
Well, Mine Train, I think, is number 1. If you're on that rope, you do Mine Train. 100%. The number 2 option is probably Space Mountain.
Oh, I was going to go Peter Pan, but okay.
Yeah, I think that's a two-way.
Depends on how old your kids
right? Depends on your family. My family, definitely Space Mountain. Your family, yeah, more Peter Pan. So
actually, no, they're starting to get a Space Mountain side.
Well, you still got Callum. I mean, can't forget about the little guy. So, but Mine Train it's still the end-all, be-all, kind of like an Animal Kingdom. We're like, go there. The one thing, if you have no Genie Plus, that you might want to think about when you get off of Mine Train or off of Space Mountain
is get a Gaston cinnamon roll. Okay, go on.
No, not at all. Would be the second rope drop.
Yes.
So at a half hour after you're in for on property, the regular rope drop for the off property people is into Frontierland and Adventureland, and we'll talk about what you're aiming for there when we talk off property.
Okay. Interesting.
But for actual rope drop, Mine Train, and then you could hit Peter Pan Pooh right after Mine Train, or you beeline over
Got
Space.
It all. Buzz Lightyear, get that in there to get your perfect score.
Mm-hmm. I've rope dropped Buzz with an alarming number of people. You don't need to do that, folks.
I think I've rope dropped Buzz more than anything else I've rope dropped in the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, don't forget to go get your child swap from Space Mountain first, though, if you're rope dropping Space Mountain.
That's a good point. So, all right.
Go get a child swap.
On property with Genie Plus, Doug, where are you going? What are you getting at 7 a.m.?
I'm shooting for Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, guys, you need to get it.
There's the 2 hottest regular lightning lanes are Jungle Cruise and Peter Pan.
Another one where they prefer those lightning lane people.
Yes. If you're wondering why we're not saying Space Mountain or Mine Train, that's because they're the individual lightning lane attractions that you have to purchase separate. So, no-brainer, Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan, because they're going to push out the furthest. And so you get those. That way, once you use them or a certain amount of time's up, you can get a Splash Mountain. You can get a Thunder Mountain. You could get a Winnie the Pooh, something, Barnstormer, Dumbo. There's lots of options. Lightning Lane has lots of options with the old Genie Plus after your initial one. But I think those 2 are the hot ticket.
Yep. I agree. Jungle Cruise for sure. I mean,
since
that line's getting really long too.
The movie has changed the wait time.
It's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, see it.
Absolutely. Speaking of, it was my favorite Disney movie of last year, and you said Spider-Man, and Michelle gave me crap for letting you get away with that. I harassed you for a second, but she said not long enough.
Okay.
I should have demanded you pick an actual Disney movie, not a Sony movie, you traitor.
Okay. That's a whole different topic.
All right.
All right. On property, also, I did love Jungle Cruise because Dwayne The Rock Johnson, that would have been it for sure. And we saw it together. So, anyway, on property with all the money.
All right, you buy Mine Train and Space Mountain.
Done. Easy. Call it great. Yes. And what do you get at 7 a.m. then?
Same things. Jungle Cruise or Peter Pan, depending on your party. Now, this is one where I would say you want multiple people doing things. We sat in the airport once. I bought Space Mountain. Michelle bought Mine Train. Alden booked us Jungle Cruise. So we all logged in. I don't trust my kids. Well, Alden is 14. You're a little younger yet. So, but that's what we did. And that day, I mean, we showed up halfway through the day and by that point, like when we got to Chicago for our layover, Michelle made another Lightning Lane. And then in the middle of our flight,
had a great stack.
Michelle made the Wi-Fi was working. Michelle made another Lightning Lane before we landed at MCO. And then by the time we got to the park, there was another Lightning Lane.
If you can stack it that well, then it's a complete game changer, especially for the Magic Kingdom for like a half day or a fly-in day. Like what you did, very few people are going to actually do, but it's so beneficial.
Yeah, and that's one thing with Lightning Lanes. Like you can do an individual Lightning Lane at, say, 11. You can get a regular Lightning Lane at 11:10. You could get another individual Lightning Lane at 11:05. They can all be on top of each other. Now, if you don't make it to your individual Lightning Lane that you paid for, Disney does not care.
Nope.
That's on you. You booked it during your dinner? Well, that's your bad.
Yep.
Like, they don't care. There is a little wiggle room on showing up like 5 minutes early, 5 minutes late type of thing. But don't stroll up 3 hours later and think they're going to let you in, because they're going to be like, oh, thanks for your donation.
Yeah.
But yeah, buying the things makes Magic Kingdom very easy. The more you buy, I think is the gist here, is the less stressful your trip, but the more stressful your 7 a.m.
More stressful your bank account is.
True.
Yeah.
But
got to budget these things.
You want to have fun on your trip?
Got to spend some money. So what if you're going to Magic Kingdom? You're staying off property, Doug. This is the most interesting of all of them at all the parks.
Because the whole park doesn't open, right? They just open Fantasyland and Tomorrowland.
Yep.
You actually get to rope drop something for a change. And that's going to be, if you're on the rope, Jungle Cruise. That's your rope drop. And then you hop off Jungle Cruise, you run over to Thunder and Splash.
Oh, I was going to go to Pirates next door, but okay.
No, because you can do that later, sir.
All right.
Yeah, come on now. Stay with me.
Yeah,
so you notice we're only given the first like 2 to 3 attractions, because after that it becomes personal preference what you want to do. If you want to go eat a cinnamon roll, go eat a cinnamon roll. I would say Dole Whip, but but you can truly get a rope drop in. This is the only place where you aren't a half hour behind.
If you love Haunted Mansion, you can rope drop Haunted Mansion. Absolutely.
You can probably even ride it twice. Yeah. But
that's what I love about this part of it, is that you are able to, staying off property, get a few more things in. Except Mine Train.
Yeah, Tomorrowland and Fantasyland is frightening at that point. So, consider the individual Lightning Lane attractions. Now, if you're staying off property, you don't get to purchase them at the same time. So your choices are going to be much more limited. But you do get to make Lightning Lane selections with Genie Plus at the same time if you're on property or off property. Who knows when that will change. But there you go.
So if you're booking in 2022, definitely make sure you're also bringing an extra battery charger, because the app drains battery at a ridiculous rate. In fact, that needs to be a part of your travel itinerary. Rope drop with maybe 2 or 3 of those. Doug likes to test them out.
Yeah, I get all kinds of weird ones and this one's not as good. I'm a connoisseur of external batteries.
That needs to be like a rope drop buddy. There you go. and in the stroller have a couple of them.
Yeah, that's what cargo shorts are for, Derek.
Oh, that is why you love those
All
cargo
bottoms.
shorts.
The
So,
purse pants. One thing, Derek, I think would be fun if real quick we went through each park
okay.
and said the worst possible attraction of rope drop
Okay.
in
Okay.
your mind. The worst possible thing. Say you're there for the extra half hour even. The worst may not even be open. I don't know. What do you got? Animal Kingdom. I'm gonna say the train.
Oh, wow. I was
It's
going
not
to
even
go
open.
tough
That's
to be
not
a
even
bug.
fair. Oh, that's a bad one.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say the Cali River Rapids for real, because you'd be wet all day.
That's true. That's a good one.
Okay. Hollywood Studios, what are you absolutely
Alien
not?
swirling saucer. And I've seen that thing just
I'm
dead as a
sorry.
doorknob in the first hour. But then it just gets a weird line, like at
Yeah.
a weird time of the day. So,
Just enjoy the weird line.
yes.
I would say Muppets. It's running.
Yeah.
People do it. Don't do it.
Don't rope drop it. Okay.
No. Epcot.
Figment. Do not. Oh,
Oh
no.
my gosh. That would probably be the absolute worst use of a rope drop.
Yeah.
Nemo's at least close to the front gate. I get it.
And honestly, there are kids that love the sea and stuff like that.
The
I
aquarium
get it. That one I'm
afterwards.
fine. Like real little kid, my kids love that.
But
yeah,
after Figment, there's nothing. It's just so disappointing.
it is.
All right. Magic Kingdom.
This is a tough one. I know where I'm not going. The tree. Oh my gosh.
Treehouse.
Yes.
Swiss Family
Ram. There you go.
Swiss Ram.
I can't remember.
Swiss-
I have not
Swiss
done that in
Family
so
Robinson.
long.
I
It's
haven't
been
either.
before the show. Before the show is even. We need to do
I
it.
don't think I have either.
Next
Okay, we'll
rope
do it
drop
next
radio
time.
trip, you and I are going to do we're going to go live.
Walk through with
Yes.
the.
Yes. Oh, cannot wait for that episode.
Oh, there will be a hint of sarcasm, folks.
The whole time.
And then, I think that's the only one. I would say that's the worst possible thing you could rope drop. That's open, first thing. So many people do it because
They
it's the
do.
first thing you
First
come
thing
to
on
when
the
you go left.
Yep.
Carousel of Progress is up there.
I
too.
agree.
But at least you get to sit down in air conditioning. You're not doing a stairs exercise.
Yeah. The thing about Magic Kingdom is there is literally something for everybody, and everyone has a favorite thing. So if you have a favorite thing and you want to do it, go rope drop it.
And if you want to tell us why you should rope drop Swiss Family Robinson, we're all ears.
That's the only
We'll
one that
listen.
we question.
Favorite
Favorite movie? I don't know. That movie came out a long time ago. So
I said it was one of my favorites.
yeah. So not of this year. So we'll have to argue about that one later. But that is it for the rope drop in 2022. What do you think? What are you going to do? What are we right? What are we wrong on, Doug? Because everyone's got an opinion. Someone's yelling at us right now on what we didn't say or what we
Lightning
missed.
McQueen.
Racing Cat. Though I'm not going to lie, I was on the second show of the day, and it was packed to the brim. And the first show coming out was full as can be as well.
That's crazy.
So there are people that,
Lightning
and that's the
McQueen.
thing. If your kid loves Lightning McQueen, yeah, not rope drop, but you can definitely get that back there. So anyway, if you want to book a trip to Walt Disney World in 2022, it is a great time to go. Everything should be open. All the resorts, everything, hopefully halfway through all the dining, everything's good to go. And we're back to the amazing things. And you're going to have to talk to Michelle. She can help you travel plan and get you everything set up. Her email is in the show notes, so check that out. Click that link. And of course, if you want to be an amazing Patreon like our new Ohana Bread Pudding Molly is, you're going to have to click that link in the show notes as well and get those bonus episodes that Doug and I are about to record. So and be sure, you know what, leave a review because we still need more of those for this year. So we'll read your name on air. But we're going to get to the Patreon. So for Doug, I'm Derek. You've been listening to Rope Drop Radio.